Hi, I'm Bart Hanson, the owner and operator of CrushLivePoker.com. The following hand comes from our call-in show that we record at 4:45 p.m. Pacific Time every Monday. If you want to call in your hand, check out the phone number in the description. Sweet.
This hand is where I flop a real pretty hand. It's at 1-3. We're kind of deep. I have 600, and main villain has 400. The rest of the table probably has average stacks of 300. So this is on the forum. If you want to pull it up, it's 1-3 big draw.
Oh, I think I saw that one, and I can pull it up. Give me 1 second here. 1-3 big draw. Okay. Hopefully you guys can see this. I think you can.
So we get 2 limps to me, and I'm in middle position. Oftentimes I'll raise here, but just given the table dynamics and image stuff, I decide to limp. So I limped in with 8-7 of hearts, and the next player to act calls, and the cutoff raised to 20. She was someone I hadn't really played with before, but for the most part seemed fairly reasonable, although I think capable of making moves. And so then that went call all the way around the table. So we had 5 to the flop. For about $100 total.
Right. Again, 2 limpers, and you overlimp 8-7 of hearts. The cutoff raises to 20, and there are 4 callers, right? The limpers call and you call.
Right.
Now, I would say that after 3 limps here, when you're the third limper, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, 20 doesn't seem like that much. What's the standard open in this game? Is it 15?
15, yeah.
Yeah, so this is what I'm talking about. Like when people sometimes ask me and they're like, oh, I want to expand in like 3-bet bluffing, or obviously this is different because you had limped from up front, but if the standard open is 15, and now you see a situation where you've got 3 limpers, and then this lady makes it 20, that doesn't appear to be a premium hand to me. Just as a note. You know what I'm saying? Because it almost seems like a juicing type of hand, suited Broadway or whatever it is. Sometimes people do it with a pocket pair, but just keep that in mind. But anyways,
so you think would 25 be more of a hand that would indicate aces to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that people will raise more after 3 people have limped if they're not going to just add $5 onto the standard open size of 15. You know what I mean? But
okay.
Maybe 30, something like that. So you get 5 people in the hand now, right? 5 people?
That's right, yeah.
Okay, so you've got 7-8 of hearts, and the board comes out 9-9-10, right?
Yep.
And it's 9-9-10 with 2 hearts.
Exactly.
Okay, so you've got a straight flush draw, basically.
Yep, so, that's the situation is where it looks on face value like you have so much equity, and but then being deep, and I'm been playing a lot more no limit in the last year since I joined your site, and trying to figure out how to balance the deeper stack depths with a hand that looks pretty but could still be pretty far behind.
Well, here's the problem. I mean, so I don't think that this will really fare to connect with the preflop raiser all that much, but the issue here is like at this level, I feel like there's a very good chance someone can have a 9 here. So, and somebody would be sandbagging it. So, depending on, I think I would probably check here. I mean, I don't think leading is going to necessarily get through. I would check and see who bets. It's not a disaster if it gets checked through. And for some reason, if it's checked and it gets checked through, it looks like the villain is in position. I want to say, right? The main villain is in position, or there's one person behind her. So let's say the board gets checked through, and now the turn is a brick. If it gets checked to you again, you can now bet, because it's pretty safe to say nobody has a 9 now, because those guys from up front would bet the turn after it gets checked through. But I would check, and maybe if the preflop raiser throws a bet out that you think that you can attack, then it's not terrible, but it wouldn't surprise me if the preflop raiser bets and then somebody else calls, and you got to be very, very concerned that someone's going to have a 9 here 5 ways. I'm not a huge fan of leading all that much. I don't think you're going to get a 10 to fold. and there's a very good chance that someone's going to have a 9. So what ended up happening?
Okay, so I did check, and the next player checked, and the villain bet. She bet pretty big. She bet 60.
So here's the thing,
Well, I
though.
guess that's not too big. It's about 2/3 pot.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. So this is where it's like a lot different because I don't think that she's going to have a 9 all that much raising preflop. Now, occasionally you might run in with to like ace 9 or something like that. The funny thing here is with 7-8 suited, you're probably like only 40% against a 9. She would be the player that I actually might not. If she bets here 60, okay, and it gets folded back around to you, I have no problem playing this hand aggressively then against her because you're going to have so much equity here. You might get a 10 to fold. If you're playing nitty, somebody might get scared of trip 9s. But it's a lot, and this is why I like to check on the flop, because if she bets 60 and then somebody else calls in between, you're going to be up against a 9, like, I think, somewhere. But you can attack with this type of draw on a paired board, I feel like the preflop raiser, a lot more than you can attack one of the limp callers that might have more 9s in their range. So she bet 60. Yeah.
Yeah, in this particular game, it seemed like kind of a late night game, like a bit of action. So I was expecting, like, if she had aces, that like we were going to be getting it in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even though we're kind of deep, like 400s, I guess more than 100 big bets, but like I would raise to 1 or maybe 180 or 1, maybe 180 be a good sizing, and then she'd probably push and I'd call.
Mm-hmm.
Would that feel fine to you?
Well, you can't check raise and fold. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, this is one of these draws where you have so much equity. Like, you're flipping against aces, probably. I mean, she might be a slight favorite because the board is paired. But I just feel like when you have a draw that's near almost 50%, if there's any hint of fold equity, you can just play it pretty fast. But she bet 60, and did it get folded back to you?
Believe so. I don't think that I had any other callers. Let's see. My memory is that, and I'd have to scroll down the thread to find it, but my memory is that everyone folded around when she bet 60 on the turn.
On the flop? I mean, here's the thing. So
on the flop, yeah.
So the stack sizes are such here that I probably would just check raise all in. If she bets 60 and she raised to 20 pre, she only has 320 left, right? So she bets 60 into 100. If you call, that's 220, and you've got 320 left. I would just move all in. If you're
super transparent, though, right? Like, I'm not going to be doing that with a full house. Probably not. I mean, maybe I would do that with like 9 jack or something, but
I would do it with a 9. Why not? If you thought
you're probably not going to get called.
You're not going to get called by an overpair?
Well,
if you're not going
to, just a minute ago, I said she was going to be.
I was going to say, well, I was going to say,
I would get called by an overpair, I guess. Yeah, I would.
If you're not going to get called by an overpair, if you check raise all in, then it's really good to make that play with 7-8 of hearts.
Yeah.
Right?
That's right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just think the stack sizes are really awkward. Like, what I mean, I suppose you could take another line and you could check call, and if she checks behind and give yourself and if she checks behind on the turn, bluff the river. Bluff the river for really small.
When I called the flop, it felt too weak. I felt like I should be making a play with my equity against her hand, which I thought was either 2 overcards that had some kind of maybe a backdoor draw, or aces or kings or queens or jacks. And I should imagine she's going to fold some of those hands if I raise all in. I was just kind of questioning what would I play similarly that I would make such a large bet. And I don't think I would normally do that with a 9.
But again, like that's sort of similar to like the other. Well, this one's a little bit more applicable, but it's sort of similar to another caller that we had earlier that was trying to think about like how he was balancing his sizing with ace king on an ace high board versus him having a club draw. And what I'm trying to tell you is that yes, that's correct in theory, but it's almost too advanced for this level. You want to take the play that's going to have the highest expectation. Now, if you think that your play with a draw looks too much like a draw because everyone else in the player pool wouldn't play trips fast, then I get that. But to think about how you want to balance your flop check raising range at 1-3 with trips or a draw because you think the other players, you want to be unexploitable against the other players. I don't think that's the best way to make the most money
Yeah.
in these games. Do you see what I'm
Maybe
saying?
unexploitable is not really what I was going after, but just trying to get the right thing to happen. So,
Right.
I would go in this case if I want the most fold equity. Should I be just shipping it, or is that going to look like a draw, and then she's just going to call insta?
Right. I understand what you're saying.
Out.
Yes, I understand what
Yeah.
you're saying, and I mean,
Just ship it.
I think it depends. I think it depends. I mean, I guess you could make a small check raise if you think that looks stronger, it looks more like a 9, and then just
Yeah.
ship any turn. Or you could just check
Okay.
raise all. I'm just saying that the stack sizes are really awkward here. So it's just one of these cases like where if you make it like 150, you know, and she calls, she only has like a quarter pot size bet left anyways on the turn. But yes,
Right. So bet
deeper.
enough to make it put pressure on her, get my fold equity, and then just put the rest in on the turn. And I still have equity, and the pot's huge. So
I mean, you could do that too. What did you end up doing?
I ended up calling, and then she ended up betting. I checked to her on the turn. She bet the turn, and she didn't give me odds to call to see the river. So I let basically all of that equity go. I felt like.
So wait a minute. So you called the flop bet, right?
Yeah.
So the flop bet was she bet 60, right?
Right.
In the pot now is 220. The turn was a brick. You checked, and she moved all in,
She bet 200 into 220.
and that left her with how much left?
Let's see. She started with 400, so wouldn't have been that much left.
Yeah, I think you can. If she has like 100 left in her stack, I mean, as crazy as it sounds to me like you can check call the turn.
Huh.
I'm serious. You have 15 outs. You know what I mean? I mean, you have 15 outs and she has 100 more left, and you're going to get paid on any. When you get in these situations where when somebody only has like such a tiny bit left at the end, it's not like if you make your hand, she's going to fold to an extra 100. So if she's betting the pot on the turn, 200 into 200 or whatever, 220 into 220, you're calling 220 to win 420 plus whatever she has left in her stack. You're calling 220 to win 520. And your hand has about 30 or 33% equity. Now, it is a little bit probably closer in this case because the board is paired. Also, if she's driving a higher flush draw. So I don't think it's the worst fold in the world by you on the turn, but it sounded to me like you sounded like it was just an automatic fold. And it's clearly not when you have a 15-out draw and you're facing less than a pot size or a pot size bet with money behind. Just remember, with a 15-out draw, you only need 2-1 to call, and that's what a pot size bet is, 2-1. So, like I said, the board's paired, so you can take it for what it's worth. Obviously, you're out of position, but anyways, thanks for the call.
Yeah.
Hey guys, if you like what you've seen here, please click on the subscribe button and you'll get notified every time we put up a new video. And if you want to check out crushlivepoker.com for the first month free, use the code YTA100. Click on the link right there.